Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Best Trivia here. Joined by Thomas, as always. And we got Best Adapted Screenplay today. This is filled to the brim with top Best Picture contenders. And then there's a massive drop-off. And it's quite a weird category, if I'm being honest. It's
Yeah,
really weird. So
for
let's
sure.
get into it. Okay. So I think we're sticking with Poor Things at number 1, right?
I think Poor Things makes sense for winning screenplay. At least I
Yeah.
know you has reservations about it receiving enough general love to be a major picture contender, but I
Yeah.
think we agree that there is definitely enough there in terms of the screenplay for it to win. I mean, you look at the other contenders, you've got Killers and Oppenheimer. I think these are fairly these are
They're
the top
locked for a
three plus.
nomination.
Exactly, like 100%. None of these are dropping off. I think Killers would be a weird winner if the film wasn't winning picture and Scorsese wasn't winning director and Lily wasn't winning actress. Like, I think this is one of the things that if Killers really hits big, then maybe they go for the screenplay. But I don't know. The screenplay is the element of the film that a lot of people are having slight problems with. I think, so I don't know about that. Oppenheimer, obviously, it's doing that experimental writing. If you've read any of the screenplay, there's that narrative to it.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that could have a narrative.
It
Come
could
on.
have a narrative there. That's just down to, well, how big is Oppenheimer really going to be going? Is it going to be director Emily Blunt potentially, Robert Downey Jr., screenplay, all of these tech things?
Right.
I just don't know if it will have enough sustained momentum and passion throughout the year. I think it will have enough to still achieve the overall best picture. But I don't know. I think things like people might want to see a change and people might want to spread
Right. For
love
a
this
film to
year.
do like what Everything Ever All at Once did last year and win 6 above the lines, like that wasn't the front runner all year.
No,
Oppenheimer's
and
been
it
the front
also,
runner for
was one of the
like
few critical hits of that year. Whereas this year,
there's a bunch
most of the films we're discussing are critically
critical hit.
acclaimed films, are like
Yeah.
top hits. So there is that as well. In which case, I think there will be more of a push to sort of spread love to different
I
films
agree.
and different
I
things
agree.
like that.
I
That would be
mean,
my only thing against Oppenheimer, but it could very well happen. I'd put it number 2 here.
yeah. No, I mean, honestly though, I'd put American Fiction pretty tied, if not number 2, then like number 3, because people brought up like, WGA feels like it could be on the cards, especially considered Poor Things will be ineligible unless they put Barbie in adapted at WGA, which is very possible because they're a lot stricter on those the rules. But American Fiction could be there. They like their comedies. The other thing is, like, I have heard some people, and I don't think that this is even close to becoming a consensus opinion, but some people saying like, how close could American Fiction be to being like a Best Picture winning contender? I don't think that is going to be the case. However, like, the materials on paper are there for it to pull a coda and just have like, writing, acting, picture. The thing is like, I don't think Jeffrey Wright is going to win.
No,
But
no.
it could assert itself in the, as a top contender if the buzz is there. And like, so far I'm seeing people be very, very positive about it. The concern is 3 letters, MGM.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I've heard so much good word of mouth. It's dominating those like People's Choice Awards. I mean, because it's interesting, because like, I mean, something like Belfast did that, and we consider that a top contender. That ended up winning screenplay. Like Fableman's won it. That was a top contender. Sure, those were a lot more established directors, and there were a lot more established like contenders before the festival. But how resistant are we going to be to like new contenders popping up? I'm not going to put American Fiction really close to my Best Picture winning conversation.
No.
But it's showing a lot of strength right now.
I think maybe the content of the film, it is more leaning into the comedic side of things that could potentially stop it a little bit.
Again, I'm not saying I agree with this take. I'm just saying that it is.
I just don't know if it maybe would feel like, I don't know why people necessarily have the urgency to go for it in a way where they might do for Oppenheimer or Poor Things, or even to an extent Killers of the Flower Moon, which I don't know really why people are going for it, but there might be a sense of this film's very important, we need to go for it, etc., etc. So I could see American Fiction being a crowd pleasing type thing that does manage to pick up momentum in a category like screenplay. It does feel like a screenplay type winner. I just think the problem is that the category, it might get shut out of it. I don't see, aside from WGA, I don't really know where it's building this momentum, because you've got a plentiful selection of things to go for. You could go for Poor Things if you wanted to go for Poor Things. You could go for Oppenheimer here. It because the category is so tied to picture, I'm just not sure something like American Fiction can rise the buzz and can get momentum. Having said that, easily in Best Picture. So I think it is fairly solid.
And similar to original screenplay, there's just a 4 that I feel so good about. Like,
I'd be very strange if any of these dropped off.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
agree.
reason any of these drop off.
And also similar to original screenplay, what's our number 5? What is our number 5? And this is even more up in the air. So
I think this is This is where we get a lone screenplay thing, I think.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think this is where our lone screenplay comes in. So I'm going to read off some options and we can discuss them. Just in order that they're on Gold Derby. Zone of interest. I just from everything I've heard, this is just absolutely not a screenplay thing, unless this is like solidly going to be in picture, which I don't think it will be.
Yeah.
Why? Like director, picture, cinematography, those would all come before this, I feel.
Agreed, but I think the argument for it that you could make is that if it is in picture, then the rest of the contenders also aren't really things that they would go for in screenplay.
Well,
like,
sure, but
we'll
like
get to them, but
you don't.
I don't know. All of Us Strangers has been talked about in that way. Having seen Priscilla, I don't really think Priscilla's a screenplay type film.
There's Spider-Verse.
So, like, exactly. I think this is what I'm saying. So, we could be in a year that there is a fairly weak number 5 spot. It could just be something that wouldn't usually get in for a screenplay, or that maybe screenplay isn't the element of it. That it sort of just comes along with it. And if Zone of Interest, in my mind, is the top contender in picture, I can see how logically you'd therefore want to slide it.
Sure. I mean, there's also Color Purple, but they hate musicals.
They know, yeah. I was
they don't do
ignoring
musicals.
that.
It's a general rule. I mean, Are You There, Guys? Me, Margaret. I don't see that making a comeback. Maybe that gets a WGA nom, but like
I'd like to see it. I think it's a
that'd be weird if that like
film, but
I don't understand how
yeah.
that keeps this momentum. It's like Lionsgate campaigning too. Like I mean, The Killer, I don't think is gonna happen. Just no. I like Priscilla right here. I know you've seen it and you don't feel it. Other people have seen it, feel a bit better about it. Namely, Adriano and Sam, who you may know from this channel. Speaking to the viewer, not you. But I don't know. I like the argument is it's probably gonna be A24's highest grossing film. Sofia Coppola, very well respected. Does her stuff always get nominated? No, but she's a name. And she's a very well respected name, especially among writers. The film is going to have cross generational appeal between like the younger Gen Z millennial people who are into Priscilla and into A24 stuff and into Sofia Coppola, and also the older voters who are interested in Priscilla. Sure, they just had Elvis last year, which is a very idyllic portrayal of Elvis, and this is very much the opposite from what I understand.
Yes.
But it I don't know. It feels like it could just make sense, especially if like Kaylee Spaney can like pick up some nominations, just add some fuel to the fire for the film as a whole. I don't know. I'm leaning towards Priscilla at this point.
I mean, the argument that is selling me slightly on Priscilla is the idea of Sofia Coppola. I mean, it is the Writers Guild. They do often go for these names. I do think that's a very valid thing. I would just argue that the film is really not about the screenplay at all. It's a very subjective sort of character study, and these are the type of things that don't usually go for.
But if you're making an argument for Zone of Interest,
but I'm saying that I'm saying that Zone of Interest also isn't a screenplay thing. But if we're considering Zone of Interest more strongly for picture,
are we though? Is my question.
I'd say Zone of Interest is above Priscilla in my mind in terms of it getting into picture. Yeah, just because it could, like, the international branch could go for it, and it could just be skyrocketed into international.
Okay, but if we're thinking about the writers' branch of the Academy, are they going to vote for something like Zone of Interest, which is like?
Well, they might if A24 prioritize it over Priscilla, because they're both A24. Like.
And if Zone of Interest, it's still the writers' branch.
But if Zone of Interest,
the writers' branch knows Sofia Coppola is the thing. Like,
yeah, but they're also to doing other stuff. Like, it's not like they're reading off a list of names. Like,
I understand. I feel like if you're a writer and you're looking on the ballot, like you're not gonna vote for Zone of Interest over a Sofia Coppola movie.
But I also think there's a case to be made that Zone of Interest, being as highly regarded as it is, like, even if most people won't be doing it for screenplay. If you've seen the film and you like the film and the category's weak,
here's my question, Thomas. Here's my question. We don't have Zone of Interest in Best Picture or Best Director right now. Are we going to put Zone of Interest as a lone screenplay nomination with our current set of predictions?
With our current set of predictions, that doesn't make much sense. But
are you going to make an argument for Jonathan Glazer to get into director? Because director video is out.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
So are we saying it's getting screenplay and picture? Like I don't.
That doesn't really make sense.
If we aren't feeling good about Zone of Interest in other categories, why would it?
I guess if there's a case we made that it can get into picture, and if we're arguing that there is enough passion for it to run a case, maybe not eventually get in, but if there's enough passion there for the film generally. An international feature as well, because if this is the international feature winner, wouldn't surprise me at all if the international feature.
But we also aren't predicting that right now.
Category of 5.
But we also aren't predicting that right now.
I could be persuaded on that front.
Okay, well, I'm not gonna be persuading you. Like,
No. You don't
I
think
don't
it
know.
has a chance at all to win adapted? To win international?
I think it has a chance, but I don't have it number 1, no.
Even if it's getting into international, though, that could make
So
sense if
we're
there's
saying
enough pressure for
international and
international.
screenplay are its nominations?
I think if it can, I would honestly be maybe arguing it wins screenplay. I could see that. I think I can see a sustained passion happening, and I think if it
It
can win,
would be
if it can win
insane if
international,
Zone of Interest got
screenplay.
screenplay, but not director.
Well, but I mean, directors are much firmer category than this. I think the thing is, though, if we're looking at the categories in isolation, and yeah, that would be weird. I agree with you. But equally, adapted screenplay is a fairly weak category outside of the top 4, and there are not many other contenders to go for that are like easy things to do in screenplay. As we said, All of Us Strangers, Priscilla, these things don't necessarily feel like screenplay things in the same way Zone of Interest. I don't know why Zone of Interest feels any less like a screenplay thing in my mind
Because it's
than
an
the other
abstract
contenders.
movie, like the other ones are at least like narrative. Like this is an abstract experimental thing. Like the filming process was like they would like set up cameras in this house and they would leave and the actors would just like walk around. Like this isn't I don't know. Like
What I'm
the other
saying is,
ones
if there's
are just
passion enough for the
inherently
film,
more righty.
if there's a passion enough for the film generally, I don't know if that will matter to a lot of
But
voters.
not necessarily in the writer's brain. Like they don't like again, they don't go for musicals. Okay, so
No.
if we're talking about passion overall, then make an argument for The Color Purple.
No, because I do think there is an inherent anti
Okay, so I think there's a
musical
pretty
bias.
inherent anti-experimental abstract film bias as well. There's never been one of those.
Well, I don't know because I haven't seen the film, but I imagine there will still be sort of philosophical musings in the screenplay to go for. I imagine there will still be elements within the screenplay to pick out. I don't. It's not just a sort of images and experimental stuff. There will be a screenplay there. So I don't know.
I don't know if you're gonna make an argument. I mean, we have Color Purple higher in Best Picture predictions right now. Like, so if you're gonna make an argument for passion, then
Well,
go
I
for that.
also think, there won't be that much passion for Color Purple. I think, as I said before, I think Color Purple will be sort of random thing that I'm starting to even think Color Purple might not even happen for picture.
Okay, but
So,
again, we also don't have Zone of Interest in Best Picture.
well, if we took out Color Purple, where does that leave?
I would not be shocked if Zone of Interest didn't get a single Oscar nomination.
Yes, but I'd also not be shocked if it gets international screenplay, picture, even director. I wouldn't be surprised if there was enough passion there overall. I don't think people will. It's not like people are looking at the list of nominations and go, "Oh, which film do I like that I can go for? Oh, I'll go for The Color Purple." That doesn't feel like a thing that happens. What feels like a thing that could happen is people look at the list, go, "Oh, I like Zone of Interest. One of my favorite
Like
films
we
of the
put
year," and
Jonathan
there could
Glazer
be
at
enough of
number
that.
10 for Best Director in our director video that just came out. We can't put Jonathan Glazer at 10 for director and then also at the same time say
I mean,
Zone of
maybe
Interest will
Glazer
get screened.
wasn't 10 though. Maybe Glazer is higher up. Is one thing. Adapted screenplay is a very weak category. Adapted screenplay is not the
We
same as
aren't putting
director.
Zone of
Just because
Interest
it
there. Like
makes sense.
we're not putting I don't know. Like I don't see a world where Zone of Interest gets in screenplay. Like if it gets nominations, I feel like it would be like 4th or 5th.
Right. Well, I guess we're at an intrinsic divide then. Because I guess here's the thing, I could see Priscilla happening. So if you want to go off that, like this is what I'm saying, I could see Zone of Interest, I could see Priscilla, I could see All of Us Strangers, I could see something that in any other year would be quite strange because there's really nothing else.
Why is Priscilla so strange?
I just don't really tracks to the screenplay film. And I don't know if the film will be something that the Academy really go for at all, since I don't feel good about Spainy. Costumes I could see, but that's an isolated sort of thing. I don't see Priscilla really as an Oscar type film, and I don't think screenplay would be the first thing to come with it, is what I'd argue.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's just like everybody else is also saying that same exact thing about Zone of Interest. And it's also hard to say because neither of us have gotten a chance to see Zone of Interest yet.
Yeah.
But like almost everybody I've seen who's seen Zone of Interest has said that like it's weird.
And I mean, this could even also be the exact same thing about All of Us Strangers. Like we don't know because we haven't seen it, but potentially that's the same case where people are saying that, oh, it's a very good film. It's obviously one of the best of the years. Screenplay would be a bit weird, but maybe it just happened. Maybe there is enough passion there.
I mean, again, Spider-Verse is still there, but
and
like
Spider-Verse is there. But I think if we did do
animated,
that, we would need to go for it in picture in a way we don't need to. So just don't cross that bridge because Spider-Verse could happen, but it's a bit too late. I think.
Like I'd be willing to consider Zone of Interest if we did like Glazer and director and had it in Best Picture, but I don't think we've crossed that bridge yet to putting it back in. and having Glazer back in, like, I feel like until we get there, I don't think that we can put it into screenplay. Because, like, where is it gonna get nominations? Like, it's not gonna get Golden Globe, it's not gonna get Critics' Choice, it's not gonna get WGA, so it'd be only off of, like, a BAFTA jury pick.
Yeah.
Because it's not gonna get the top 3 vote, so it'd be off of, like, a BAFTA jury choice.
Yeah.
That'd be weird to me.
But then the Academy go for it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like
does that
it
happen?
picks up things towards the end, does really well at the BAFTAs, and then sneaks into places we weren't expecting at the Oscars. That is a worldview that tracks for me. Where it doesn't do well at precursors, it doesn't really do well at the guilds, but BAFTA go for it and the Academy go for it. They're
But,
the
like,
two
this is
institutions
different
that are
than All
most likely
Quiet.
to go
Like, this
for it.
isn't All Quiet on the Western Front.
No, it's not. It's not near that, but it could be a slightly lesser version of it. I think.
I don't know.
Especially since it's a
I
lot more
have editing control,
like a
so
guild.
it's gonna be Priscilla at 5, but
Oh,
we'll put
yeah,
Zone of Interest at
yeah.
6.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
So
Is there
that's
anything else we need to discuss?
I mean,
there's
as we said, like, it's just like All of
yeah.
Us Strangers is there, Spider-Verse is there, like, Color Purple is there, but, like, they don't go for musicals. Like,
No.
I don't think that there's anything else outside of those. Like, Margaret's there. Like,
Yeah,
I agree that all of these don't necessarily feel correct, but simply because of the name Sofia Coppola and the fact that it's like a more conventional narrative film.
Whereas I guess I'm just going for what I think is the
The
highest
strongest
Oscar contender
film as
overall.
you're going for what you think is the strongest film as a whole.
Yeah.
But, like, I also want a lone screenplay nomination.
That is true. That is true.
And we aren't going to say that Zone of Interest is a lone screenplay nomination.
No.
So, yeah. I don't know. This is a weird one. We're gonna have a lot more arguments about this category. We should do this live sometime and let people contribute because this is a very, very weird category. But I think those are all of our thoughts on this one. This is one of our first big debates of this award season. We usually have a lot more of those. Weirdly, we've been agreeing this year.
No debate and actor. We're on the same page in that one. Which is
I know, yeah. Which is scary that we
I can't be right for the third year in a row. We'll have to be right together. Well, not wrong.
Okay, that is it for today's video, everybody. You can go support the SAG Strikes in the link in the description, as well as following us on social media if that is something that you are interested in. We got plenty more videos, Oscars, Emmys, Grammys, all those fun things, movies, music, TV. But until next time, thank you everybody for watching. Stay safe and goodbye.